With that, we're going to our next presenter. I had a chance to meet him 2 days ago at our networking, and he's a quite remarkable technologist with a long-term history and legacy in the field of technology. So Kent Graziano is Chief Technical Evangelist at the super hot company Snowflake that just went public at a, last time when I checked, $60 billion plus valuation. Of course, very remarkable through Warren Buffett's investment in them. He's an internationally recognized expert in cloud and agile data warehousing, as well as an award-winning author and speaker. He's a prolific author and has written, among others, the Data Model Resource book and has co-authored The Business of Data Vault Modeling. And his talk is going to explore how you can change the game with a cloud data platform. Please welcome Kent Graziano.
I have to unmute first. I had to unmute.
Amazing background. Now I can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for having me here today, and I'm sure this is going to be fun. Never used one of these internet clickers before, so we'll see how that goes as I go through the slides. Let me see here. So, as we said, I'm Kent Graziano. I'm the Chief Technical Evangelist at Snowflake. If you want to get in touch with me after the event, you can follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter. If you go into the People tab of the Techsylvania platform and search on Kent, you'll find me, and the links should be there for my my Twitter account as well as LinkedIn. So for today, though, I'm going to talk to you about how we're changing the game with data in the cloud. Let's see, hopefully this is working. This is my first test of the clicker to see how it works. Yes, it worked. All right. Glad to see that. Never know what's gonna happen here. So yes, our future is here. We have just a massive amount of data has appeared. Gartner's predicted 75% of all databases will be in the cloud by 2020. And this is one of my favorite graphics that I found this year about data never sleeping that Domo put out, and talking about how much data we generate every single minute of the day. So for example, we've got 18.1 million texts being sent every minute by people all over the world. Over 55,000 photos being posted on Instagram, and that's per minute. Uber rides, 9,772 Uber rides per minute. Well, this was released earlier in the year, so this was probably last year. I suspect that average has dropped significantly since the pandemic has hit. But then this number, the YouTube, 4.5 million users watching YouTube videos, most likely that one's gone way up in the last 6 months because a lot more people streaming things, along with, of course, looking at Netflix and how many hours of video are being streamed because people are at home and they're binge watching. And it's not just Netflix, but, Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO, all of those things. Even myself, my family talked me into finally, getting Disney Plus. And I just realized I wasn't hitting the clicker right here, folks. So this is the fun challenge. I will catch up my slide here, and there we go. Yeah, I actually, like I said, went to Disney Plus here recently myself because the family was at home and really wanted to be able to keep up and have something to do in our spare time. So we've really got a ton of data. That's what this really is leading us to, is we've got all this data that's just coming from everywhere. Never dreamed there would be this much data. There was my first data warehouse had 10 gig of data in it, and now we're talking zettabytes. So IDC is predicting 175 zettabytes of data by 2025, and it's not coming from just traditional sources. So all those numbers I was just showing you, that's a lot of mobile device data, IoT type data, a lot of weblog data. And so it's not the traditional structured data that we're used to seeing, right? And it's really, we figured out how to store the data, right? But now we have to figure out how we're going to take advantage of the data and really make it easier to manage and build our things that we need to. Over my career, I've seen this crazy journey. I started off with on-prem databases, not even data warehouses, with like 10 gig of data. And then we started getting into hundreds of gigs and eventually terabytes. And so we had these on-premise data warehouse platforms get formed that were really good at getting fast answers for SQL, but really couldn't necessarily scale to all the users and all kinds of data. Then Hadoop came along and gave us the opportunity to store structured and semi-structured data together, all in one place, but it didn't really get us the speed that we needed. It got us all the data, but didn't quite, and it wasn't SQL native, right? So that was even harder for people to deal with. Then the cloud came along and a lot of the traditional on-prem systems got ported to the cloud. Those are really the same architectures, but they're available in the cloud, so you didn't have to have a data center. You get platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and you're able to do things like that. And then along came Snowflake and cloud data platform, something truly built for the cloud, because we really realized that you're not going to be able to solve the problems that are coming to us now with yesterday's technology. So let me quickly introduce you to Snowflake, the company I work for. I've been with them for a little over 5 years now. When I started, there was only 100 people in the company. And as you mentioned, last week, we were listed for the first time on the New York Stock Exchange. So now we're a publicly traded company. We're #1 on the Cloud 100 list. And we've got customers all over the world in the Fortune 10 even, and a huge, huge ecosystem that's allowing our customers to be very successful with their data. Now, since this is Techsylvania, this is a tech crowd, I'm going to give you some, to me, they were mind-blowing numbers, right, about what Snowflake is doing. We have 1.3 million users across all our customer bases. And currently today, we have over 250 petabytes of data under management, and that's compressed. We get 3 to 5x compression. So that's a lot of data. Never see that in the traditional on-prem databases. 89 petabytes of data scanned on a daily basis with over 515 million jobs. And that's load processes and sophisticated queries running every day. One of our customers has just gone absolutely nuts. They have a table with 41.9 trillion rows. That's T. It's trillion with a T, trillion rows. And for those of you who are into data modeling, that's a dimensional model. And it's about eight columns, but it's 41.9 trillion rows. And they're querying it all the time and loading 150 terabytes of data into it every week. The largest database any customer has 17.6 million tables. So they've taken it to a whole nother level, really thinking about like our data lake concept, bringing all the raw data in and storing it. And then the single customer with the most data has 35.5 petabytes of data. And with our 3 to 5x compression, that's basically 100 petabytes of data at a minimum, depending on how you look at that and how well the compression works. So our goal is to allow our customers to truly be data leaders. And Snowflake is really the first cloud-built data platform. We allow you to build a modern data architecture delivered as a service. So as a single platform, it enables you to secure and govern your access to all the data and support a whole bunch of different workloads at the same time. And it's the only solution that really eliminates that complexity of having all these multiple parts and having to connect them all together. It's all delivered in one bundle as a service. And I'm going to talk to you about the architecture in a bit that I just found so fascinating. It's available on all 3 major clouds. So we are cloud agnostic and run on top of Google, AWS, or Azure natively. So it's easy to integrate with any data that you already have in the cloud. So let's take a look at what I think makes it so cool. And so, my blog is the Data Warrior. So that's why I call this the Data Warrior's top cool things about Snowflake. And this is really what enticed me to leave independent consulting and go to work for what was a startup company at the time with only 100 people in it. So it's really all about the architecture. And this was fascinating to me. It's a groundbreaking new architecture, first one in 30 years, called the multi-cluster shared data architecture. And it really enables all these cool features. We've separated the compute from the storage to allow you to spin up and down compute on demand, independent compute clusters, power whatever loads or queries you need to run without contention. So you don't have to worry about that. When the job's done, the virtual nodes can be automatically turned off. And the platform itself is ANSI SQL, ACID compliant, and it's all managed via our cloud services layer. So it's all totally new code. It's not a revision of any other code base. Our founders started from scratch so they could build a system to take advantage of the elasticity of the cloud. So first, we can have the flexible cloud storage. It gives you the ability to store unlimited amounts of structured and semi-structured data. And then we create these flexible compute nodes that allow you, called virtual warehouses. And these allow you to execute your queries and your transforms on. And you can have as many of these as you need. And they all can be sized differently for different workloads. So extra small is a single node, small is a medium, and so on. And we even have a concept called the multi-cluster warehouse that scales automatically horizontally when you get a high number of concurrent users so that nobody is bumping into each other. So we're not sharing the resources anymore. We actually automatically load balance it so you can scale to whatever level you need to. And you can turn all of these off at any time so you're not paying for them when they're not being used. And on top of that, we have the whole cloud services layer that allows us to build out and manage all this. Our transaction consistency, our encryption, our metadata management is all handled automatically for you. Now, one of the cool things about this is it's open. You don't have to retool. You can use any of the tools that you currently have in the BI space, ETL tools, data management, data governance tools. We have an open ODBC and JDBC connectors, as well as Python, Node.js, Go, and even a Spark connector. And so whatever tools you're using today, just by going to Snowflake, you don't have to throw those away. And it's all SQL-based. And many of the major vendors now have native connectors, so they have seamless integration with our platform. And I thought that was great to not have to be able to relearn anything. And my favorite command of all time, this is for all the DBAs out there, is undrop. And I just saw a tweet about this yesterday about a customer having to do this, where somebody did the, oh crap, I dropped a table in production. How do I get it back? Well, in Snowflake, it's a simple command, it's undrop, and it instantly is back. And that's because our time travel feature, where we're storing all the changes under the covers for you automatically. You don't have to configure it. It comes with 24 hours of time travel by default. So if you do something like drop a table, or even, heaven forbid, you dropped an entire database, you simply say undrop, give it the name, and it's back. And this feature can be configured to go up to 90 days. But by default, when you log into Snowflake day one, it's there and you have 24 hours to recover. Now, my most favorite one here is zero copy cloning, because I really wish I had had this a decade ago when I was trying to build large data warehouses and I need a dev in a QA environment. And of course, can never copy the data. You never got enough storage to say have a terabyte of data to copy your production database so that you could run regression tests on it. Well, you can with Snowflake. It takes less than a minute to copy a terabyte of data because we're not really copying it. It's really a metadata only copy. So it's pointers, and all the files under the covers are immutable. So that means they don't change, right? When things change, we add new files, but when you make a clone, the pointers are pointing to the original file, so it's static. And this is a great way to take snapshots of your data, to spin up a dev or a QA instance without having to wait for it to copy. And so many people do that. And it's really simple with SQL. You see the commands here. It's just a create or replace statement. And you can even use time travel with it. So imagine that you move a new process into production, and it, somebody didn't do their testing. It corrupts your entire database. Well, you can create a clone of that database or that schema or whatever it was at a point in time with this before timestamp clause. And you put in the timestamp 1 second before that corrupting process ran, and instantly you've got the whole thing back. Then you can drop the thing that was corrupted and rename the clone to the name of what you need it to be, and you're back in business. It is the fastest recovery process I have ever seen. And normally you're supposed to have a good back out plan, right? If you move something to production, what happens if it goes wrong? How do we back out? And it's, pages and pages and pages of things and all this work you have to do to recover from a mistake. In Snowflake, you really just say undrop. Now, from the big data side in Snowflake, we invented and have a patented data type now called variant that allows you to load and query semi-structured data like nobody's business. That's right. It's there. It comes in. We're storing a JSON document in a column, and you can write simple SQL against it, like the example that I have there, and have an entire ebook on how to do that for those of you that are interested. And that, of course, means that you can do data lake in Snowflake. And we have many customers doing that, just loading their raw data in whether it's Avro, XML, ORC, JSON, into tables in Snowflake. And so it's governed way more than it ever was in a file system. And this gives them an immense amount of control and visibility to the data, and allows people to access it with SQL. They don't have to have any special skills. They write SQL, and they can get access to all of this data. Now, as I said, we're global on all 3 major clouds, and our global data mesh allows you to easily move, replicate, and share data securely across the globe to any region or cloud, regardless of the location of the initial data set. And this is just mind-boggling what this can do for you. And it enables us to do what we call secure data sharing. So this is a feature that's really allowing us to use this thing called the data cloud, and it's changing the way people are dealing with data. You build a curated data mart inside of Snowflake and share it instantly with any other Snowflake account. Customers designate data for sharing and grant permissions to it, and with a simple SQL command, they can even revoke permissions to it at the same time. Right? So you have complete control over it. The recipient can explore and query the data without ever having to actually get access to it physically and move it into their infrastructure. They just do it via the cloud and via the interface within Snowflake. That means there's zero latency. Any changes you make to the data are instantly available to anybody who's accessing the data. And really, because of our global data mesh, it's global and it's cross-cloud as well. Now, with that means there's multiple scenarios we can use for sharing data with each other. You can share directly to another Snowflake account. You can share it via a reader account where a customer could just build their own reports using their own reporting tools, logging into a Snowflake account that you're managing for them. Or you can build your own SaaS data app interface on top of Snowflake to share with customers who just want to see the data, but don't really need or want to manage a database or anything like that. We have our Snowflake Data Marketplace, which is another great way to share the data and monetize the data. You can share this with the world of Snowflake here. People could just go into our marketplace, click on a tile, and fill out a form and get access to your data. It's kind of like an app store for data. Access to just all sorts of third-party data, weather data, financial data, all sorts of things. And during this, the COVID-19 pandemic, we have a data set from Star Schema, which is one of our partners in Hungary. And it's very popular with our customers and prospects. They're trying to understand the pandemic's impact to them as individuals and as companies. And they're able to just attach that and augment their analytics without having to go find and curate all that data themselves. So through the marketplace, it allows people to get the latest insights that you just join to your own enterprise data without doing all of that ETL and data migration work yourself. Now, with this type of platform that we have, you can put all your data in one place and make the same data available to all your users and really democratize the data for real, getting the right data to the right people at the right time, which has always been our goal. So very quickly here, I'm going to go through my evaluation considerations for you to think about. As you're looking at moving into the cloud, not all platforms are created equal. As I said, some of them are simply VMs. So make sure you know what you're looking at, right? Some of them are built on traditional architectures. Ours is a completely new approach to it. So you really want to be asking all the right questions. Do you want infrastructure as a service or platform as a service, or really more of a software as a service? Questions to ask. What are your business cases, right? Do you know what you're going to do? Supporting all your data. You may not be using semi-structured data today because your platform won't let you, so do you need to? Or do you just need structured data? And how about what users are you going to access it? Do you have a lot of concurrent users and processes that you need to run? Do you have unpredictable spikes? What about trying to run queries and loads at the same time? Make sure the platforms that you're looking at are able to do these things, and look into the high availability, maintenance, security. Do you have PII, personal data, that you need to stay clear of and let people get access to, right? And what's the cost model? And of course, do a pilot, because seeing is believing. So I think I have like 40 seconds here for one customer story. Sainsbury's in the UK, the third largest retailer in the UK. They got onto Snowflake so that they could truly democratize their data and take a look at all of their customers across all of their brands. They even had a 6-hour-long query that went down to 3 seconds with Snowflake. And really were able to deliver so much more value than what they had been able to before in a rapid time. Our customer at Devon Energy, this is one of the best statistics I've ever seen, is 2,000 simultaneous queries against 40 billion record table, all of them returning in under 10 seconds. That's the power of the cloud. That's where we are today. And really that's what's allowing us to make a big change in how we handle data. So I hope this has been educational and enlightening for you. And please feel free to join me after this session now, where we will be doing a Q&A over in the, I guess it's in the sessions room, right?
It is going to be in the sessions room. That was very, very nice, Kent. I love the undrop command. I think that's definitely something I could like highly relate to as like a super cool feature among the other things that you shared.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Thank you very much, Kent.
That one's crazy.
All right. Thank you for being with us, Kent. And thank you for doing the QA after this.
See you.